Greetings and salutations. This is Timidar. Thanks for watching. I figured I would do this video a little different here, because everything that I've done so far, where I've talked a lot about Paladin stuff, that's all things that I'm for sure that I know. Now, Warlock is going to be my first alt, like my second character that I play. And while Warlock was the first character that I ever played up and rated, I did not play in vanilla. I started playing in the Burning Crusade. And while there's not a lot different between spamming Shadow Bolt and TBC and vanilla, now that we have Season of Discovery, quite a few things have changed. And I just kind of threw some points in here. I'm just going to look at things, read things, and talk aloud on my thought process and theories on stuff and how I might play the class. And if anything seems incorrect and I'm way out left field, feel free to correct me on it. So one thing that I've noticed first off is just after I put in some points here, that create Firestone is just something that you'd never really use, because you pretty much would always have a better offhand, or you would be using a staff or something. For those that don't know, Warlocks can create held in offhand items, Firestone and Spellstone down here. And what was bad about Firestone was it just gave you 21 fire damage, and you spammed Shadow Bolt, so it really didn't do anything. But now that we're getting a lot of added fire stuff, and if you're tanking in Metamorphosis and you happen to be like kind of a destruction spec where you're dealing increased fire damage, you've got Incinerate and Lake of Fire. This extra 80 to 120 fire damage on attack with like a fast attacking dagger. I'm not sure if Metamorphosis, your attack speed is predicated on your weapon, or it might just be like Druid and you just have a flat attack speed, attack power values that your weapons don't adjust. But if this affects you, then I could see this actually being pretty daggone good, because as a Warlock you can't equip a shield anyway, so why not just get an extra 80 to 120 fire damage on your attacks with 21 fire spell damage? That seems pretty good. So I think you could even tank with this sort of setup where you Lake of Fire, because you only need like one tick of the Lake of Fire for this 40% increased fire damage. And Incinerate might have a 2-second cast, so I think it does, right? 2.25 seconds, okay. So it's got this 2.25 second cast, but for most boss situations, that just means you're going to get hit once as you're casting it and get that knockback. So if you time it to where the boss just attacked and then you start casting this, you'll get knocked back once and then you'll get it off. And then you just do one tick of Lake of Fire so that you're in Searing Pain spam over the next 15 seconds, which I mean, you'll have lost some time on it, right? So you have like 12-13 seconds of just pumping improved Searing Pain globals into your target, which will just be crazy high threat. If you're with all the damage that all the other classes are getting and stuff, if you really just need to pump some threat, just getting the pull with Incinerate and Lake of Fire, to just, if that's just how you start the fight, you just pull Incinerate, drop the Lake of Fire in front of you where the boss is coming to, and then you just start spamming Incinerates, and that's all that you do. Maybe you don't do it anymore through the fight. That alone is pretty good. And as you can see, you get some pretty nice high ranks of stuff. One thing I was thinking of as you kind of go through here is I'll just go back to putting points and stuff. Or in this point, taking things out to get to 25. I was just looking at the skills that you'll have at 25. And you'll notice you only get rank 1 Searing Pain. And it doesn't do much damage here at 38 to 47. Right? It's a level 18 skill. It's basically 7 levels behind you. And then I was like, well, what could you cast? And then I was here, you actually have rank 3 Corruption. That's actually doing some pretty decent damage. You've got the 20 Shadow Bolt, Shadow Cleave combo here. You've got 20 Immolate. So I was thinking maybe there's a world where you actually tank with getting your hit rating from Affliction, just dumping points into here. Well, I could put too many in, but you get what I'm saying. Like you just sort of come in here, so you get the free hit because don't know really how much hit you're going to be getting at level 25. I assume some of the BFD gear is going to have hit, but if you're going in without that gear, you know how are you going to actually land your spells to tank? Then you can Master Channeler. Seems like it's a lot better, and you can come over here and just get Everlasting Affliction, so you keep your corruption up and just lean into the fact that it's a higher tier spell. You know, this rank 1 Searing Pain might actually not carry. It might. I'm not sure on this. Again, I'm just thinking aloud that this might actually be pretty decent. Even so, like if you are just focusing on tanking, which I mean I would never suggest not taking improved corruption really, but you can open a pool by just hard casting the corruption, right? Taking improved life tap, doing something like this. I mean, it would suck in your PvE stuff, but your Shadow Cleave would be refreshing your and your Searing Pains would be constantly keeping that corruption up through the fight. So that alone could be really good if we have to lean on to these higher tier spells at that point. And of course, as we just put more points in random stuff to get to 40, we see we get a Searing Pain rank 3 at 34. So again, it's like 6 levels below the cap. It's not doing like a terrible lot of damage, but you do get this Firestone here. 40 to 60 fire damage on attack, 14 fire spell damage. You know, I noticed that, but at 38, you know, you get Agony. Here we don't get a corruption. We're still rolling the 34 corruption, so at least Searing Pain and corruption are in equal ground here, just from a base skill. You do get demon armor, which is kind of nice. Help you out. You do get this level 40 Immolate, which pumps. And you could get Conflagrate. But you're not getting you're just dealing a lot of fire damage on the Searing Pains and stuff here. Because you get the 10% crit, you get increased crit damage. You just get increased damage, and then you get conflagrate, right? So this is a pretty good 40 tree that could potentially lean back into the incinerate and lake of fire stuff. Because I do think that while I was really high on Master Channeler at the start, when you get into looking at things of your drain life, 41 health every second for 15 seconds, that's pretty good. That's like 60 health every second to you for 15 seconds. But if you're tanking, you have healers, healing you. Like, I don't know. Like, sure, in PvP this is going to be amazing, but actually in a raid type tanking situation, I think it's just kind of bait. I just don't think it's worth it. I think maybe you pick up even demonic tactics just for this extra crit, just for more threat. But you might, not sure on how much melee crit you're going to have. Is your melee crit going to be scaled off of your spell crit, so you just get spell crit and off of an int and stuff, or do you actually need to take this to have some crit? But the Lake of Fire just giving you the 40% increased fire damage. This is going to allow you to just be an absolute threat machine, I think. And as we can see, that's going to do pretty well through everything. While this is more of a maybe even more of a PvE thing, taking conflagrate. When immolate, you just might not actually be getting off. Though immolate does cause a lot of threat. I don't want to sell it there. But that way you don't really need the conflagrate stuff, probably, I'd imagine. And you could just come over here, do something like this for your level 50 if you are going this route. And at 50 you have a max rank caught up Searing Pain, that this is going to just be dumping damage. You also have immolate too. And drain life, you get rank 5 drain life. Just thinking back to maybe using the Master Channeler here at 50. Don't know. I could get a greater Firestone, 46. If you're able to proc this thing in Metamorphosis, this is going to be really good. I don't know if you will or not. I don't know if that's been confirmed. I haven't seen anything on that. As far as what I'm going to do, if I play a Warlock, it will be just a tank. I just want to get into this, figure this out, have some fun with it. And of course at 40 and 50 and 60, we're going to have even more runes to play around with. I do like the idea of having a spec, though, that is really good in PvP, as that's just what I really enjoy doing. And as I was thinking about this, I got to think, like, I play Alliance, right? So we're going to have paladins that you can just say, hey, put a beacon of light on me and spam heal my pet. So we can actually get value out of Soul Link. And Wow, I've never taken this talent before, but this actually improves firestones. That's hilarious. Just thinking about this. Uh, that yeah, we can actually just tell people to heal our pets, right? And and maybe this 30% damage transfer allows you to keep your Voidwalker up, which with Master Demonologist gives you an additional 10% physical damage reduction. And then on fights where there's major, you know, elemental damage and stuff going around, you can swap to the Fell Hunter and get a massive amount of resistances. So, which doesn't stack with the Paladin aura, does it? But there are things that this is all schools. And Paladins don't get an aura for nature damage. So if there is like a heavy nature damage fight and stuff, you can just take Master Demonologist there. Uh, and that's just being a strict Soul Link kind of spec. With you can take Master Channeler and Metamorphosis, Incinerate, plus whatever else you get at 40, we'll have more runes there. This could just be a monster of a PvP spec where you're going to be able to sacrifice 2 Voidwalkers. So I guess you could put the points in that instead of Imp. Though I was thinking maybe just you go Imp for the improved blood pack for tanking. I'm not sure there. So this just seems like a solid way to go the 40 for me. Just get the Soul Link and be an unkillable monster in PvP. And one of the big benefits of playing Warlock on Alliance side is you get to avoid Paladins in PvP. Which Paladins can really beat Warlocks. Like traditionally in the normal classic WoW PvP, Paladins can just sort of eat Warlocks because you just kind of shrug off their stuff. You're cleansing their stuff. They don't just have crazy burst damage, so it becomes an attrition fight. And Paladins are the best attrition class in the game. Warlocks are probably like a number 2, maybe Druids, right? Sort of come after that. So you get to avoid Paladins, which I think are just going to be disgustingly overpowered. Now, you're going to have a harder time with Shamans than you ever had before. For sure, at level 40, like Elemental Shamans are going to tear people apart. And being able to purge your Voidwalker sacrifice shield is going to be gnarly, but you can go with the Fell Hunter instead. Just get the resist, right? Having 40 elemental and fire res, so that's just 10% reduced damage from like all their stuff that they do. It's not too bad. If you didn't know about, it's 40 resist for 10% reduced damage taken from that school, except for frost damage in PvP. For some reason, frost damage doesn't do that. It just either you resist the spell completely or you take full damage. Whereas, like, once you get some resist, you start partially resisting every spell. And you'll resist 10%, 20%, 30% of the damage, right? So, I mean, that's why this is so, like, they're so busted at, like, level 60, because, you get your Fell Hunter out and you just get 60 res. That's 15% reduced damage taken from all schools against other casters. Except Paladins, because you don't get Holy Res. So that's another thing with that, why they're good against them. But now if I was going to be going like damage, I don't think Haunt really is going to drag me into like playing Affliction. So this just suite of fire damage spells just seems so good, right? You just get to come in here, and I guess you get I don't even know if you're ever casting Immolate and stuff. So maybe it just doesn't matter what you're taking here. You get Reach. You do get that. Yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe you would keep up Immolate. So maybe this is just worth where you Immolate and maybe you just like conflagrate when the Immolate's about to run up. Like, well, you kind of did that anyway when you played Destruction. Like maybe there's like where you're going through your rotations of like Lake of Fire, Incinerate, Chaos Bolt, Immolate, and then you're just incinerating it, and then once your Immolate's about to tick off, like because it lasts 15 seconds, so this all kind of times up into this 15-second window, right? So you can just Lake of Fire, throw an Incinerate, Chaos Bolt, Immolate, then you're just spamming Incinerates until it's time to re-up your Lake of Fire. Then you conflagrate, Chaos Bolt, Incinerate, throw up another Immolate. You just kind of keep these working together. I think that just seems like way more fun than just the typical Shadow Bolt spam that we were accustomed to. And I like the Destruction PvP talents for the Daces. I mean, you can even get this what is it, the chance for Rain of Fire, Hellfire to stun, which, I mean, you could get the Soulfire stun, right, because you would use Succubus with this kind of stuff to just lock people up and start nuking them. Well, I think that's going to be good. I just don't think that's what I'm playing Warlock for. I mean, if tanking doesn't feel good and I just don't want to do that anymore, I don't think I'm just going to swap into like Destro and keep playing it. I'm probably just going to say, well, there's my summoning alt, which, you know, generally I always made at least like, you know, a level 20 Warlock to sit somewhere, maybe to summon people to AQ or whatever. Just end up parking it somewhere for summons if I don't like it at 25. At least there's that benefit. But if I like it at 25 and then you take it to 40 and then you don't like it at 40, well, at least then you've got, you know, you had a free mount, and you know, it'll be easier to get around this where you want to summon people. Don't know what else I would play. I think the Affliction stuff is lacking a little bit of love here. Alright. Soul Siphons, okay. Haunt's pretty good. Everlasting Affliction, to me, seems like it's a decent rune. But when you compare it to all the other runes, it's just like, man, I could just, you know, I can just have an instant cast Corruption and just spend one global reapplying, you know, the spell that lasts like 18 seconds anyway, right? Like, yeah, I could just cast this every 18 seconds. Yeah, I might lose a little efficiency, but it's nowhere near like the power of these other runes. You know, you probably actually go demonic pact, but that's just your crits. I'm assuming that you don't just dot, like you're still like dotting and throwing shadow bolts. Right, you'd still have to come over here and get you some hit there, get this. You want Nightfall. Maybe pick up this and Soul Siphon. I was just in love with all the points you get here. Damage dealt or life drained by shadow spells. You don't even really need Dark Pact. So maybe these just aren't even that good. It might just be, you know, you take the improved Shadow Bolt. You know, maybe just 1 point in here at 40. Or if you just really need the hit, you can still just come up here. Make sure you don't miss anything. I mean, that seems good to me. It doesn't seem like amazing. I mean, this is like good enough. You know, you're getting this extra damage. And again, I'm just thinking maybe you go this over that. The demonic pack over everlasting afflictions just for this extra spell damage stuff, but you can probably just take a everlasting affliction. But at 20, no. I didn't put enough points in there. Maybe you're going something like this just for like a PvP kind of setup. But in PvP, you're going to still want Metamorphosis. And you come get Master Channeler. And like the value out of Everlasting Affliction just doesn't feel like it's that good in PvP, right? So I like maybe you just take Demonic Grace if you really want the dodge chance against certain classes, maybe. And it does also just give you spell like actual melee crit by 30 for 6 seconds. That seems pretty good. I mean, either of these, I'll probably play around with both in PvP. But I do like the fact that you still have a ranged nuke and incinerate, since you won't have a Shadow Bolt in Metamorphosis, because it's turned into a melee attack. And that's it. These are just sort of my thoughts on what I may be doing with my Warlock second class here. I think it's going to be one of the top tier classes in the game at 25 in particular. I mean, we all know Warlocks are just generally strong in PvP and stuff. To the end game at 60, you know, traditionally have been. I think you only have to worry about like how bursty the other casters have gotten, because you're even more survivable against melee classes than you were before, and you were kind of already beating all of them with Metamorphosis. So it's really just, you know, how disgusting are shamans, and mage is going to be and can they actually contend with it? I think mages are going to be getting quite a bit stronger. Like typically mages just beat, or warlocks just beat mages, but it wasn't like just a guarantee, you know. There was like a 35% chance, maybe, something that a mage could take that if they just got lucky and on their crits. and kind of just played out of the range of a lot of the warlock stuff, because a lot of the warlock things are 20-yard range. Like your fear's 20 yards, your drain life and stuff's 20 yards. So you know, if a mage can just keep you at their max range and just nuke, you could maybe lose that. And I think that their win percentage is just going to go up for mages against warlocks. So I think we'll actually see PvP maybe become a little more balanced at the absolute top tier level of dueling and stuff, which I think would be really fun. But I think I'm going to leave this here. I've kind of rambled on long enough. I don't really have much more to think on this at the moment. Just kind of wanted to put my initial thoughts out there and just maybe get some feedback on it. Because I'm actually asking the question, what else have I missed? Are there just broken items that maybe I need to get on 60 upgrades and look at for these different tiers that maybe look like they could really break warlock tanking? Which I haven't done that yet, but I do plan to at some point. I have some more downtime. But I'm going to leave it here, and I'll catch you next time.